first of all, is this a target that you tried working on in the practicum and it didn't work?
No.
Brand new
The
target.
scenario. Mm-hmm.
Good. And what age, how long ago did it take place?
I believe I was 9 or 10 years old.
You were 9 or 10 years old. That's great. And how disturbing is the memory now to think of
Let's see.
on a scale of 0 to 10?
7, 8.
Okay, so it's a substantial.
Maybe 6. Maybe 6. 6, 7, 8. I don't know.
6, 7, 8. That's fine. And have you tried to resolve it in the past?
I've talked about it in talk therapy, but I haven't done any actual processing.
We don't consider that trying to resolve
it. We do consider trying to resolve it, but we just don't. And talk therapy can be very, very valuable, but it's not really that effective in resolving painful memories.
Yeah.
And I guess it's not fair to tease talk therapy when it's not here to defend itself.
I stuck up for it.
Yes. Thank you.
Because the truth is,
it makes me seem like less of a bully.
Right. And the truth is, between you and me, Phil and I do a fair amount of talk therapy anyway, along with the processing.
True. Okay, so from 7 or 8, do you remember being surprised when it happened? Were you surprised at your reaction, the other person's reaction? Was there another person involved?
Yes, eventually. I can encapsulate like in one sentence what it was.
That helps.
So I was sucked down in a riptide off the coast of Delaware, but I survived. And there's actually a little bit of triumph in it, but there's still charge there too.
God, you know, that is such a common experience. We did that last week.
Really?
Yeah, it's really common experience. So last week it was the woman was with her daughter. They were both swept out.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that wasn't your mother we were working with last week, was it?
If she came back from the other side to attend your
okay, now we're really showing the strengths of Flash. Okay, well, why don't we jump into it? I mean, sounds like no feeder. Sounds pretty straightforward. So go ahead and tap. Do you have a PDF? That's part of this protocol.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have my grandchildren.
Oh, okay.
Can I just have them as a group, or should I choose one?
Nice to choose one, but you can choose them as a group.
All right. Well, I'll choose the one that I see the most often then.
What age?
He's 9.
Okay, great. And so tell me about him.
Well, he is very smart and funny.
By the way, all grandchildren are smart.
Yes, I know.
In case you didn't know.
This one is very smart and funny, like his grandma.
Yeah, that's right. Flash.
Yeah, well, he's so how to talk about him that isn't just grandma stuff. You know, he's just a joy to have around.
Yeah.
He's a really engaging kid.
Flash.
And he has he's interested in almost everything. I've gotten into bird watching in recent years.
Flash.
Which was what I was using for my first PDF. But,
your first PDF, yeah.
But he has taken it up with me. And he often wants to get out the bird ID apps and see who's in the yard or look at birds. And he can identify birds better than most, you know, adults I know. Just
Flash.
from the fun of it.
Do you use Merlin?
Yeah. I use Merlin. Sometimes I use eBird if I'm reporting something more complex. But we use Merlin all the time.
Yeah.
Flash.
Yeah, it's great.
Merlin is one of those ones that you just have it listen to the sound of the bird and it tells you what kind of bird it is.
Yes, I love doing that. He loves doing that, my little grandchild.
Flash.
Yeah.
And you start to learn to
like
recognize the calls that way.
Yes. He can say even like, oh, listen to those cardinals talking to each other.
Flash.
You know?
Well, at least he doesn't know that they're it's foreplay, but they
well, yeah, we don't really talk.
I won't tell him. Flash. So
this is probably a good time for a break, huh?
Yes. So check in and see if you notice any change without thinking of any of the details.
It seems more far away.
Okay. So just go back to your grandson. What was he like when he was younger?
Oh, very curious. Very it's hard for me not to think of the other three grandchildren.
Yeah,
when I think
it's
of
okay
him,
to
I'm
think
trying
of
to
them.
figure out how he
was
and sort of, I mean, there's so many things about younger kids that are, kind of typical of young children.
Yes.
It sounds like he has some personality traits or characteristics that have remained stable even when he was younger, like the curiosity, huh?
Yes, that's for sure. Yeah.
Did he want to know how things worked and why things were the way they were? And
oh yeah, that's a fun memory. There's one where he had a little one of those little cars the kids can get in.
I don't
remember what they're called, like little types or something, and he would sit there and turn the axle, get down and lay down and look at try to figure out how the wheels were working when he was like 3.
Wow. Flash.
Yeah. Oh, and now he's really into constellations and
stars.
There's a really great documentary called Goodnight Opie that's I think from NASA. It's a NASA documentary about the Mars rovers, Spirit and Opportunity. And we watched that together. It's actually really nice.
Flash.
Because they do such an excellent job of showing the emotions that the NASA engineers and other people go through in the long years that it takes to get Spirit and Opportunity up there, and how they kind of get attached to the rovers.
Flash.
So that you have grown-ups kind of like crying with joy.
Yeah.
And it was just so cool to watch that.
Right. Plus they're anxious that when they take off that the whole thing's going to blow up.
Right.
Or that it'll crash land on the moon, all of which are not irrational fears.
No, not at all.
So there's relief.
I'm sorry, somebody's going to be coming. My daughter just pulled up in the driveway.
And is your grandson with her?
I don't think so.
Flash. So take a break.
That's my dog Tide. He lives in the shoe.
That's Naya. So perhaps I might want to mute myself for 1 second. Do you mind?
Okay, go ahead. Sure.
She's going to come back in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. All right.
So do you notice, without thinking of details, do you notice any change in this memory?
It seems even farther away. almost like I actually had a fast image of sort of like almost like a backwards telescope where it was just receding.
Yeah, yeah. So how disturbing is it now?
It's a little bit hard to tell because I have some like adrenaline and sympathetic charge from like my daughter pulling up right then. But
so that's another target, how scary it is when your daughter pulls up.
That's funny. I think it's down to a 2 or 3. I would say right now.
Okay, good. So usually when it's sitting at a 2 or a 3, it usually is that some aspect of it hasn't resolved. Is that possible?
Yes.
Okay, good. So go back and tell us about your grandson.
Okay. And so since we watched the Spirit and Opportunity video, and that clearly ignited his imagination in 1,000 ways.
Yeah, flash.
I got him one of those little mini planetariums. You know, that you can turn out the light. And this one is actually made by Sega, and an engineer put it together so that there are actual constellations. You know, it's an actual reflection of.
Yeah.
You could get different discs for it. But
oh wow!
And it
been on the northern hemisphere.
It projects on the ceiling. Is that the way it goes?
Yeah, one of those projects on the ceiling and it moves. It rotates.
Wow.
And you can control clockwise or counterclockwise.
Wow.
And it's just fabulous. So every time he stays all night, you know, we just lay there and watch those stars for an hour.
What did kids do in Copernicus's day?
Maybe they laid outside and watched the stars.
I guess it might be possible. Flash.
Well, maybe we will in the summer, but I got him that for Christmas.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And there's also there's an app when you're out there. If you point the phone at the sky, it'll identify all the constellations.
We have that app too, of course. That's real.
And it plays some hokey music too if you don't turn it off.
Yeah, that's true.
Space.
But I'm learning. I always wanted to know the constellations, and I never really memorized them very well when I was younger, except for the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. So I'm learning all these constellations too.
Yeah, flash.
Yeah.
And the planets are moving around, so like Jupiter's been close to them.
Oh, hasn't that been beautiful lately with
Jupiter
and Venus and the moon and the western sky? That's been amazing.
Flash. So take a break again. And without thinking of any details, see if you notice any change.
Oh my gosh. I swear, I just really felt like some sort of a heart change.
Wow.
Like there's one piece of that memory where I come back on the beach and I see my mother that's always been very painful. And as that image flashed in my mind just now, I just felt my heart just change. Just some kind of compassion for both of us.
What was painful about it before?
Well, she didn't seem to understand that I had just survived a riptide.
Almost died. Yeah.
She was just like, "Where have you been? We have to go. We've been waiting on you." And I was like, "I just survived a riptide."
Yeah.
Like, but I didn't know how to. I was too young to say it. But thankfully, I was a good swimmer, so I realized that I was supposed to float on my back, and I just floated on my back, and then until I could finally swim towards shore, and then I had to walk like a long way all the way back to find them.
Oh, you have to go downstream or upstream ways.
Yeah.
Wow.
But, So
Uh,
I think that the hardest part of memory has always been like when nobody like embraced me when I came back.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And
we've been waiting for you.
where have you been? Awful, yeah, gonna choose off, you know? But I really
So-
just felt like, I don't know if you saw it, brought tears to my eyes in it.
Yeah,
Tears of relief or
Yeah,
Wow.
kind of like just being moved by the upwelling of compassion and sort of change. I felt something.
so 0 to 10,
0.
great, good.
You
So
know-
you're not saying that because we said we wanted to do a short demo, are you?
I don't think so.
Or because your daughter just arrived and
Yeah.
you told her to come back in 10 minutes.
you know that
No,
that
but
to me,
I'm not.
one of the most touching things about the work is when that compassion comes up, and it can come up, for the child. And sometimes it can also come up for, the parent or even the perpetrator in some sense. They might say, well, geez, dad was so hard on me, but I know what grandpa was like with him. And so it's that ability, this adult perspective that Phil's been talking about. And I also think of compassion as kind of the master spiritual emotion. And it's really so freeing and transforming. And so it's very touching to see you have that experience.
I might also point out that sometimes your clients tell you that they're at a 3 or a 4 because they feel so emotional, and the emotion's compassion. And so it's important to be able to sort that out, let them know we're not trying to get rid of your compassion.
Because the compassion can be a pretty potent sadness sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's, it's like, can happen when instead of blaming their young self, they embrace their young self. And
It's adult perspective.
It's adult perspective, yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. It was a beautiful demonstration.
Really beautiful.
Yeah, thank